Welcome to One Word Today. I'm Sophia, pilot into the universal Chinese. Let's continue to unpack some essential concepts in the classical China era, which is like dynasties under one singular guy ruler. But of course, many times it's way messier of the political struggle and between the shifting between dynasties. Anyways, it's one long-lasting stretch of Chinese history that's documented in plenty of books. Of course, it's through the lens of historian that's hired by the next regime to write about history of the previous dynasties. Anyways, that's classical China, and we have some essential concepts that teach people how to be a human in that society. Of course, sometimes it's serving the purpose of make a ruler's job easier, right? But sometimes it does serve the purpose of teach you how to be a human. And today we're talking about the 教, teach itself. So what is teach? In Chinese, we have this three-part story. The bottom left is a big-headed, arm raised up, pick-me-up position baby image. So that's a young human. On the top, we have this crisscross, crisscross. A few episodes ago, we talked about the concept of self, and the self is this crisscross in the middle of heaven and earth. So this crisscrossing, I'm guessing, must serve a certain, I guess, intellectual, it represents a certain intellectual entanglement or disentanglement to kind of signify that humans were trying to make sense of the world. And things comes in first, it's network, right? And things may come in conflict. Things may come in multiple dimensions, and you have to make sense and orient. So all that human modeling of the world is represented by just two crisscross there. And I find it fascinating as, it's kind of a humility as well. Because early on, the Chinese language creators kind of visualize our positioning of kind of recognize our ability of human brains, right, to try to map the universe and how we're going to do it. I mean, today as AI is a neural network, it's a network. Ancient times, I guess coincidentally, or maybe not. Like back then, people already buy into this visual image of at least it's a sort of network. It's a sort of modeling we're trying to build. And into this number 5 between heaven and earth, this meeting in the middle point of that having the algorithm or being humanist is to position yourself in the right spot. If not go to extremes, kind of the golden rule, the middle way is the ideal way. And that's what all that can be packed into this cross, like two acts stacking up on top of each other. Okay. So that human modeling of the world or the network of knowledge above the children, right? So it's like small kids, young humans trying to get to or tap into the previous knowledge or understanding or modeling of the world. The right side is 3-finger right hand symbol holding some sort of tool. And according to some scholars, this one vertical line plus one horizontal line is an ancient kind of oracle, kind of fortune telling, kind of a tea leaf or tarot. I don't, I guess ancient times before we have supercomputers like we do today, people turn to oracles of sorts, or psychic readings of sorts, try to forecast, try to predict what's going to happen, try to give them advice so they can come to a sort of conclusion or make peace or reconciliation of themselves about certain things so they can move forward So I guess that's what originally it holds, just one vertical line, horizontal line. And the hand holding that. And you can view it in certain ways. Like what this hand obviously is adult hand. An adult hand holding this oracle. And next to this little children below this network of knowledge or human modeling about the universe. And that whole picture of this teaching concept. So either this adult hand is a kind hand, and this thing almost looks like a key, right? In later days, it looks like it's almost like an adult holding the key to knowledge. It's kind of like a gatekeeper or the curator of the knowledge or the lighter, the torch lighter for later coming generations to tap into this big network that so far collectively humans accumulate. That's one way to see it. Second, mean version of this adult hand holding. It's not a key. It's not a gatekeeper. It's not a usher to this wonderful world of knowledge, but it's more mean. It's disciplinary. Hold a yardstick thing. Kind of, if you make it wrong, if you didn't memorize it, if you say something off the network, like we commonly agreed upon ways of saying things or thinking about things, then you're going to be punished. Negative feedback. So two ways of reading. However you want to see what teaching is, it's up for interpretation. But the dynamics there, the adult right hand and the small kid, the baby, the human network, plus some tool to enforce, to help facilitate this learning process, to plug in that young generation into this human network of knowledge. That's teaching. So 教堂邪教教化 okay 教堂 teach hall. Tang means big high roof building. So I guess bedroom is low roof. Human and the space need to be humans need to be cocooned when they come to sleep. But when humans are talking, debating, or teaching, interacting with a group human, they need a bigger space, higher roof. So that's what Tang is about. It's such a space that you can have a group of people together. And the group teaching is a Chinese way to say church. So church, obviously, Christianity and all that came after, like way after Chinese language already got invented. But somebody, I'm guessing a Chinese way originated like yin and yang, the ancient philosophy of that. It's more like open air teaching, or in private school back then, smaller group teaching. The ideal teacher-student ratio is 1:1, right? 1:1, and maybe a little bit bigger, like 1:10, something like that. But when it comes to church, this Western way of massive teaching, even today, it's called a mass, right? MASS. That's the way church goes. It's one preacher broadcast to a whole hall full of people. And that's why Chinese create this character of teach in that big setting, that tall roof building. And that's the Chinese definition of church. Okay, 邪教. So since now we have 教堂, this teach hall means church. And this 教 continuously carry this church, this religion ambience with it. And now we plug in an evil. So what is an evil teach or evil church thing? It's cult. Chinese way to translate cult. So, both cult and Christianity or communism, all C word, okay, happen to be. They are myth makers. they are what historian Yuval Harari called myth makers. And because I'm looking at language, so I'm more aware of this language operating, but on top of language are all kinds of myths sitting on top of that, all kinds of stories, right? They try to sell you something. So all of these, like a thought warping things, are myth making. But evil myth making can be either the teaching itself turn you into a worse human being according to other standards, or they are minority. They're kind of carry a bad rap because they didn't dominate the myth market. So, say Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, they are the three big threes, right? That they reach a certain level. They are the majority. They are the orthodox, and they are the worldly recognized major religions, myths out there. But many local minor things like Mormons or all kinds of cults, right? These minor ones, before they grew up to the mass market level, this minor myth, could easily be labeled as evil. As either, I mean, they're marginalized, so they were put in the bucket of cult. But who wouldn't say communism is not a cult or Christianity is not a cult? They are all myth layer to our existence. Okay, 教化 means transform. And the purpose of to teach younger generation is to transform them, good or bad, right? They are the torch carriers of this, the light of human civilization carriers to the future, the next generation. So this process of teaching them to tap into the network of knowledge or modeling is to transform them, because we were born as babies. We don't know lots of things, how we should behave. And eventually the goal is to transform them into full functional humans, or in 教化, in the context of political, like we want to transform them into, like in today's lingo, good citizens, but in the past it will be a good commoners that can be easily ruled by the ruler, right? Or in religious term, be turned into this firm believers who just buy into your myths so much. They're going to be unconditionally supportive of whatever preachers are saying. So all that transformation depends on who is doing the teaching. And the teaching's result or the purpose of teaching is try to transform otherwise as a blank space human, and then transform them into a certain mindset or worldview. They have a certain models, neural networks built to fit the purpose of the teacher. All right, that's how I deconstruct or unpack what 教, this teaching, is about. All right, so here is one teach setting. Is one person spread the thoughts, share the ideas with the rest. Seems like more democratic because, this guy looks young and it's a similar age thing. It could be just share something, but it could be totally like different, right? In like a church setting, one preacher definitely like a higher elevated human to the rest of the humans. There is a certain power in equality, or in terms of teachers to younger children, young minds is unequal type of teaching. Just want to call it out. There we go. 教. Thank you for your time. See you later.